Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I've got an absolutely fantastic and sweet episode for you. And today I'm going to show you how to make those traditional Greek cookies called Melomakarona. Melomakarona typically are what they serve around Christmas, Easter, celebrations, any occasion other than funerals. So, very simply, we're going to break down this recipe into 3 stages: the syrup, the actual making of the cookie, and afterwards, again, putting it all together. This recipe is a little bit different than most recipes that involve syrup in the baking process. In this case, rather than making our cookies first and then putting our syrup together, we're gonna make, actually in this case, our syrup first, and then we're gonna set it aside and forget it and move on to our cookies. So for our syrup, very simply, we're gonna need 10 ounces of water, 600 grams of sugar, 1 orange cut in half, 2 sticks of cinnamon, and 3 whole cloves. So in goes our 10 ounces of water, followed by our 600 grams of sugar. Nothing to this so far, right? Very easy. 2 sticks of cinnamon go in, 3 cloves in, and 2 halves of our orange go in. And for this, we're gonna bring this mixture up to a boil. Let it simmer for about maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And after that, lastly, we're gonna add our honey. Now, once our sugar has completely dissolved in our syrup here and it's come to a nice kind of steady kind of rolling boil, the next part of this is adding our honey. And at this point here, let this simmer for about 5 minutes or so, 5-6 minutes, just enough to get everything incorporated and all the flavors to kind of combine and come together. And at this point, you want to keep an eye on it as well to make sure it doesn't boil over on you, because good luck with the cleanup if that happens. This is basically sugar, water, and honey. Yeah. All right, so now it's been about 5 minutes. Our syrup is basically done simmering or boiling away. The next part of this is very simply, we're just gonna turn this off, put it off to the side, and forget about it until the very end of the recipe. All right, so now that our syrup has finally been finished, it's off to the side, it's resting or cooling. The next part of this is the actual cookie dough, or how we're gonna actually form our Melomakarona. For this, first things first, preheat our oven 350 degrees Fahrenheit or about 160 degrees Celsius. Next part of this is to get our actual cookie dough and form our cookies. So for this, very simply, what we're gonna do is break it down, because there are quite a few ingredients in this recipe. I'm not gonna kid you, but it's not a big deal. Just little by little, step by step, and we're gonna get through this. So, to start us off, here, I've got my durum semolina, goes into our bowl, nice and easy. 600 grams of all-purpose flour goes in. Be careful when you put this in there, because you're gonna wind up looking like Casper. And a little baking soda goes in. Take our whisk. And all you're gonna do for this is very slowly and gently just start mixing this in, kind of blending it and incorporating it. Once this is all blended and incorporated, we're just gonna take it and move it off to the side and move on to the next part of our recipe. So now that these 3 ingredients have been mixed together, I'm gonna take this and just move it off to the side and let that just do its thing there, whatever that is. The next part of this recipe is combining our certain liquid ingredients. And for this, we're gonna use a little bit of white sugar will go in there, 100 grams of orange juice, nice and easy, a teaspoon of vanilla, the best vanilla you can get, our spice mix. The spice mix for this is actually pretty critical. Here I have 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon, 1/3 of a teaspoon of ground clove, and 1/3 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. So these will go in as well here. And the kicker to this recipe is some metaxa or cognac. So for this, you're gonna need about 3 tablespoons or so, whatever. It can only get better from this. So our metaxa goes in, drop this puppy down, and just start slowly kind of mixing these ingredients. Let them kind of incorporate and get all nice and happy. And once these are blended in, we're gonna add our next few ingredients. So as this is mixing in, we're gonna add our baking powder to this. The orange zest of 2 oranges are gonna go into this. 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. And this is about one of the few times the Greeks will actually use vegetable oil. 1/2 cup of Greek extra virgin olive oil. This recipe is not your bakery Melomakarona. This is down home Yaya or Thea's recipe that they make in the village. That, you know, anybody who's got somebody that makes it from scratch, that's kind of been passing a recipe on down the line, this is the kind that they will make. And 50 grams of honey. And now that this is incorporating nicely and it's all kind of blending together, the next part of this is adding a little bit of water. And now the main part of this is adding our flour mixture. I will tell you, I wouldn't tip the bowl with this, because if you're anything like me, it is not going to be fun. Slowly start adding in your flour mixture. The trick to this is you also don't want to overwork the dough. You want to keep it somewhat consistent and light. If you overwork it, it's going to be like clumps of I don't know what. So now the mixer portion of this recipe is done. There is no substitute for hand kneading and hand molding, and that's what's going to happen next. Typically, they form these into either round cookies or kind of oblong football shaped. Well, in this case, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do a pan of each and show you how those are done. So the trick to this is remove the batter from your mixing bowl. Get that off here just like that. And see, it should be like, it should not be sticking because of the oil. This is very easy to work. Like if you see this batter here, it's actually very, very malleable. It's actually very easy to deal with. You're not going to get everything kind of all sticky and gooey, if you will. So that's a good thing. So our mixture is done. It's ready to be molded. And you can make these any shape you like. I'm showing you today how traditionally they make them in round or lengthwise or oblong, but you can make these in terms of any kind of shape and any kind of design you like, S shape, whatever you like at all. And the trick to these is basically when you form the oblong ones, form them almost like a lengthwise. What you're going to do is you're going to take some dough, roll it into your hands so it's almost like lengthwise. Keep going and gently push it down, and it'll give you that kind of shape. And that's typically the other form of traditional Melomakarona. Alrighty, so now our shaping has been done. I formed our Melomakarona. The next trick to this, and this is a trick somebody from Greece taught me, is you take the back of your fork and you just make an impression on the top. Just like that, pushing them down gently, not too much, just enough to get kind of the imprint of the fork into the Melomakarona. And this helps trap the syrup that we're going to baptize these things in after, and in terms of overall appearance. So now that our Melomakarona have been formed, they're ready to go in the oven, 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes until they're lightly brown and done through and through. All right, so now our Melomakarona are out of the oven. They're actually just right out of the oven. So what I'm gonna do next, and this is critical, is you have to bring them while they're hot. That's very, very important because they'll absorb the syrup that we were working on earlier much better. So for this, basically, I have my syrup now that's completely cooled down, and I have some chopped walnuts for garnish. And from here, I'm just gonna serve them up on the platter. So first things first, we take out the orange that's been halved in our syrup. Get rid of that, as well as the 2 cinnamon sticks and the 3 cloves. Cloves taste awesome until you bite into them. They flavor food, but they're not meant to actually be chewed on. So get that out of the way here. The trick to this is cold syrup, hot cookies. So what I'm gonna do is very carefully just take the round cookies and place them in our syrup. And what you're gonna do is just leave them in there for about 5 to 10 seconds. That's the key to this. Submerge them, let them kind of get all happy, all nice and acquainted with the syrup, and just let them sit there just for a few minutes. Actually, a few seconds. But the point is about 5 to 10 seconds per batch. And I use the tongs in this case because there's nothing worse than getting sticky syrup on your fingers. It's just awful. So take our cookies out now, our Melomakarona, place them on our tray or our platter, I guess, just like that. See what I mean? There's nothing to this at all. This is what's key here, is the cookie has to be hot to absorb the syrup that we made for this. So now what I'm gonna do is very carefully, just lightly cover them with a little crushed walnut just on the top, and let it just stick to the syrup on top of the Melomakarona, just like that. And that's the last one of this batch. We'll take the last sprinkling of the chopped walnut, put that over that just like that. And that is our Melomakarona, done and dusted, literally. So that's it for this recipe here on traditional Greek Melomakarona. It's not complicated as long as you organize yourself. The biggest bitch to this recipe is measuring out all the ingredients and kind of organizing it that way. Once you've done that and you've kind of broken it down, it's a piece of cake, very easy to do. Syrup, cookies, bake, baptize, enjoy. So I hope you like this recipe. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Ken, aka The Lazy Gourmet, always trying to show you an easier and simpler way to make traditional Greek dishes along with just about anything else that tastes good, obviously. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Everybody likes sweets around the holidays or anytime. And until next time, thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I'll see you when I see you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.